Every single bike I reviewed last year in the $2,000 to $3,000 range, there were always tons of you in the comments saying, Wired Freedom is so much better. Don't waste your money, get the Wired Freedom. Whoa, this is the best e-bike channel on YouTube. I'm gonna subscribe. Okay. I took your advice. In the shop today is the brand new dual battery version of the Wired Freedom. In this video, I'll be taking the bike out for a real world test to find out what all the fuss is about. And together, we're gonna find out if this super popular bike lives up to the hype, and maybe this video will help you decide if this is the right e-bike for you or not. Spoiler alert, you're gonna need to stick around to hear what I have to say about this bike because there's a couple deal breakers here. So let's start by going over the important bits first. The power plant is a 3200 watt hang-tied geared hub motor. It gets all the juice from a 45 amp controller, and powering all that are two 60 volt Samsung batteries, a 20 amp hour battery here, and a 15 amp hour battery hidden back here in the rack. Wired says that all of this together will generate 153 Newton meters of torque and help me take this bike over 35 miles an hour. I can't wait to take this thing outside for a test drive where I'm gonna test all of these. But first, let's take a quick look at everything you get when you buy a Wired Freedom. Let's start out back. The Wired Freedom rolls on a set of Kenda Crusades that are 26 by 4 inches wide. I love these tires for two reasons. One, the knobs are super tall, so they're gonna dig into the gravel and the trails that we take it on. Second, usually fat tires are super loud because all the knobs are spaced out, but these ones have a center channel here to keep the bike super quiet on the roads. For the drivetrain, the Wired Freedom comes with a pretty basic 7-speed Shimano Tourney derailleur. It is protected by a derailleur cage though, this is really nice. You get 7 gears to choose from when you're pedaling. And just take a look at how big this chainring is. I think this is a telltale sign that this bike is gonna go fast. This is a 56 tooth chainring. It's absolutely monstrous. You get some Light Pro branded cranks and some metal Welgo pedals. Nothing to complain about here. The rear rack on the bike comes pre-installed and it houses the second battery in here. This is super neat, double duty rack. Holds the battery and still lets you carry a bunch of cargo or hang some bags off of it. Love this feature on the bike. Take a look at this frame. Super beefy, looks very strong. It's got a 4-bar horse-link suspension in the back. This is gonna give us a ton of really smooth travel. Speaking of travel, take a look at this rear shock. I don't know why more companies don't put a rear shock like this on their bikes. Well, obviously there's cost involved, but this little air can from D&M is awesome. I've had it on a few high-end bikes and it just rocks. It's got a 3-position compression switch here with lockout, rebound adjustment up here, and it's an air spring. You get a high pressure pump and you put the recommended air pressure in the air can. This lets you set up this rear shock for no matter what you weigh. You only weigh 100 pounds, you put a couple PSI in there and get some nice smooth rear travel. You weigh over 250, 300 pounds, no problem. Put a ton of air pressure in there for a ton of support. Moving on up, here's what the seat looks like. Looks super soft and cushy, really comfortable. And it's a regular bike shaped seat, so it's gonna be really nice when we're pedaling. Also, you can adjust the height, get the max stretch out of your legs, or like me, make it nice and easy to get on and off the bike. Man, take a look at this paint job. The pictures don't do it justice. This has a really nice kind of like anodized finish on it. Really nice. It's not too shiny, not matted. It's just gorgeous. Here's a shot of the RST Guide front suspension. It's got a lockout up here and preload on the other side. It looks to be super high quality and very smooth. I can't wait to take this out for a ride. The bike has metal fenders, front and back. Take a look at the brakes on this thing. So you got the Gemma logo here on the 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes, and the bike has 203 mil rotors front and back. These rotors are also really thick, which means they'll be super good at dissipating the heat, and they're never gonna warp, so they're gonna stay nice and straight. Here's a shot of our front LED headlight. It's really nice. It looks like industrial, made out of metal. It looks like kind of like one of those spotlights that people put on their Overlanders. And moving up the front of the bike here, you get a couple of spacers to move the stem up and down. And this front end is the same that you'll find on most BMX bikes. Bomb-proof stem and bomb-proof high-rise handlebars. Look at how high these are. They almost come up to my chest. I'm probably gonna lower them down a little bit. The Freedom comes with a nice set of hydraulic Gemma brakes. They take mineral oil, so they're super easy to maintain, and they've got a little adjustment screw here so you can bring the lever in or out depending on how big your hands are. This seems perfect for me though. Here's what the grips look like. They kind of have a faux leather feeling, but they're lock on both sides. Really nice. Next to those grip, you get a quarter twist throttle and your 7-speed Shimano shifter. And over here on the left, you get the same lock-on ergonomic faux leather grip and the remote for the bike. This has the power button, your set button, and a plus and minus to go up and down your pedal assist modes. Super nice and simple. Oh, and you get a bell. Okay, here's our beautiful center mounted display. Oh. Wired bikes. Nice. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but this display is super bright. We should have no problem seeing this outside. So going through the screen here, you get a battery display and percentage, MOTT, and then 50 Fahrenheit. This might be the motor temperature. You get your speedometer in the middle and miles per hour. Looks like down here is your pedal assist modes. So we get 5, well 6 if you count the 0. You get your motor power and wattage. And if you click on the set button here, you can see your average speed and max speed. There you go, nice and simple. Let's see what kind of speed we can get without any weight on it. Okay, let's power on the light. Wow, look how bright that thing is. Nice circular spot, super wide, and it's very concentrated in the middle. This is definitely one of the brightest little spots I've seen in a while. So there's 2 rear taillights, one built into the bike and one built into the battery. And the battery one has a power button here, so it looks like you can turn them on individually. Nice. Let's turn the bike's taillight on. That is bright. Holy moly. Does it get brighter with the brake? Yeah. I'm gonna back up the camera here. This is crazy. Look at this. We'll turn them both on. I mean, there's 0 chance someone's gonna miss you with these. Okay, let me show you what a 5'9" person looks like sitting on the Wired Freedom. First thing I gotta say before I even get onto this bike is that this is a big bike. I've seen it in the comments before, but man, seeing it in person, having it up here, it's just massive. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of big guys that are asking like, what should I get? I'm a big guy, I'm 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds. This might be something you wanna look at. I've got the seat all the way down, so this is as low as it gets. And the handlebars, I mean, I could lower the handlebars a little bit. I'll probably do that before the ride, but here goes. Woo, that suspension, man. Oh. Okay, so sitting on the bike with the seat at its lowest point, I can reach the ground flat-footed, which is great. But these handlebars are really, really high. I like this, it'll do for today's ride, but I think I'm gonna put some lower rise bars on there. I think it will feel a lot better for me. The other thing I'm gonna do before today's ride is pump up the rear shock. Like you guys saw there, I was just sitting on the bike and I went through, more than half the travel. So let's do this. Just hook up my little high pressure pump. Let's have a look, see what kind of air pressure's in the shock right now. So it's only about 120 PSI. So usually in most of my mountain bikes, these little air shocks, for me and my weight, I usually put about 190 to 200 PSI. Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit lower just because I want a really nice, soft, cruisy feel. So I put 175 PSI. Let's see what I get for sag now. So you put all your weight onto the bike and then you step off and you see what the sag ring says. Usually you kind of want about 30%. So about a third of the way down. This looks pretty good. I'm gonna bring my pump on our ride just to make some minor adjustments if we need, but this looks like it'll do for today's ride. Good morning, everybody. I am so excited to be finally riding this bike. So many of you have been hounding me to get this on the channel, and it's finally here. Now I gotta be real with you guys. I want to thank each and every one of you for the support this year. You've been absolutely amazing. Even if you've never liked or commented on any of the videos, just for the simple fact that you're giving me your time, being here and watching means the world to me. So for what it's worth, thank you so much. Now you guys know what we do with a full battery at the beginning of every video. Let's do our hill climb. There's my fire hydrant. This is where I start on each one. I've got a 15% grade hill up ahead. I'm gonna go throttle only, pedal assist number 5, see what kind of speed we can maintain uphill. Okay, 28 miles an hour. For reference, I'm about 190 pounds with all the gear I've got on today. And we are just motoring up this hill. 27 miles an hour on the GPS. Holy. Wow. Man, they weren't joking. This bike has some power, dude. So we got up to 28 miles an hour uphill. I know it's got more in the cells. Let's take it over to Test Drive Island and really let it stretch its legs. But just before we get to Test Drive Island and test the real top speed of this Wired Freedom, let's see how quickly it accelerates. Now, geared hub motors are known for their acceleration, so I've got high hopes for this thing, and I know it's gonna make it. I've got a driveway pullout just up ahead. I always start right here. If I can get to 20 miles an hour before the driveway pullout, we got a fast bike. You guys ready? Pedal assist number 5, throttle only, 3, 2, 1, go. 15, 17, 19, 20 already. Like that barely took 2 seconds. Oh man. This bike is fast, dude. Just like that, we're on the island, and it's time to see how fast the Wired Freedom actually is. Now, I've unlocked the bike. I'm gonna show you guys how. Super simple. You just hold the set button, and then you get inside the bike's menu. All you gotta do, go over to the advanced settings, and then right here it says class 2. You can actually tell the bike to remain in class 2, and that'll lock it at 32 kilometers an hour or around 20 miles an hour. If you click no, then you can go inside the speed limit here and then set it up to 99 kilometers an hour. Now the bike's not gonna go that fast, obviously, but that just tells the computer not to limit the speed whatsoever. Whatever speed the motor can get you, that's what we'll get. So I'm gonna set it, go back down to return, and exit out of the menu. There we go. Pedal assist number 5. We should get all the power now. You guys ready? Throttle only, pedal assist number 5. 3, 2, 1, go. Just acceleration right off the bat. I've got the GPS right next to it here. 32 miles an hour already, 34, 35, 38. Woo! 39. Oh. I should have worn my goggles, man. Oh, that is fast. Well, I got 39 miles an hour, higher than advertised. How good is that? Okay, time to see how this thing pedals. Now, the beauty with a bike like this is that it has a regular bike seat, which you can adjust the height of, right? So if you want to pedal this thing, obviously you raise the seat up a little bit just to get some nice reach out of your legs. You got some nice tall handlebars, and you've got some gears too. So I've got the bike set in the lowest gear, which means it's the biggest one here on the cassette. Some of you might call it the granny gear. And I've got the bike in 0 pedal assist. So let's see what this thing's like to pedal without any power.
Oh. Okay, I can tell you right now, it's no fun. This is a big, heavy bike. So this is no good. Let's go up to pedal assist number 1. I'm getting a little bit of power here. I'm gonna drop some gears. Super smooth. So the way this bike does power and speed, it's a cadence sensor, and in the bike's computer, you actually set the percentage of power that you want in each pedal assist mode. So right now, pedal assist mode number 1 gives me 20% at 20 miles an hour. Pedal assist 2 gives me 40% at around 25 miles an hour. Pedal assist 3, I'm gonna drop some gears here. 30 miles an hour. Pedal assist 4 is 80% power. I've got 35 miles an hour. And pedal assist 5. Let's go, let's push it. Miles an hour. Woo! Oh man, I keep forgetting to wear my goggles. This bike is so fast, it's making my eyes water. Holy shit, this bike is fun to ride. Okay, so far this is one of the most comfortable bikes I've ever been on. Next to maybe the Motor Goat and the Graffiti X, this is right up there. But the roads have been super smooth. The road ahead is much, much rougher. So let's get some speed and see how the Wired Freedom handles some rough roads and some potholes. This is crazy. I can barely feel anything. It's like riding on a cloud. The road here is so rough. It's cracking everywhere. There are some massive potholes. And this air suspension legit feels like I'm riding on a cloud. This is so nice. Woo-hoo-hoo. Look at this, nothing. The beauty about this bike too is that nothing rattles. There is zero noise coming down from the bike. And the motor's pretty quiet too. Let's see if we can hear it. There's a little bit of whine, but it's like a low frequency whine. It's not a high pitch whine, it's a low frequency. It just feels like it has power, you know? Man, for ride quality, I'm giving this guy a solid 9.5 out of 10. I don't really think there's anything you could do better on this bike. Maybe the front fork could be better, right? I mean, it's an RST guide, it's a really high-end front fork. I've seen the same type of fork on, you know, high-end bikes from Electric and things like that, but it could be an air fork, right? Which means it would have even more adjustability as far as how much pressure you can put in there, how much support you can get from it. But the rear shock and the big tires combined, man, such a comfortable bike to ride. Okay, time to set up for the brake test. There's my marker where I want to stop by. It's a 20-foot distance to the first marker here. This is where I'm gonna slam on the brakes with the Wired Freedom, and hopefully these big 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes are gonna stop me in time. I mean, they should, right? They're biting onto 203 mil rotors. That's as good as it gets, right? Big thick pads, big wide pads, lots of biting power onto those big massive rotors. It should stop me in time. The only thing that might work against me right now is that the roads are a little bit wet. It's super frosty here in the mornings. You know, I'm kind of riding in the afternoon now. It's had a bit of time to dry up a little bit, but it's still greasy, you know, like the roads aren't completely dry and it's not warm, so the rubber's not gonna stick to the pavement a little bit. I've got a little strip here of dry road. I think just to give it its best shot, I'm gonna try and ride on the dry pavement here. You guys know my philosophy with braking, right? If a bike can go a certain speed, it should have sufficient braking power to come to a stop in a reasonable distance. And I feel like that 20-foot distance is more than enough room to come to a complete stop from no matter what speed the bike can go. So let's get some this is gonna be worst case scenario, I think. Oh man. Okay, I went really far. I'm gonna go as fast as the bike can go, which is what, 34, 35 miles an hour? No, it got up to 40. Okay, I think as long as I'm in the 35 mile an hour range, that should be good enough to show you guys how good the brakes are, right? So let's go pedal assist number 5, throttle only. There we go. Let's get some speed, try to stick on to drive pavement. I've got 32, 34, 35, and stop. Oh. That was the longest skid I think I've ever put down. Look, I went a little bit past the 20-foot marker, but this bike goes so fast. How about we do the brake test again, but this time I'll stick to the 28 mile an hour that most e-bikes get, and I'll show you guys how good the brakes are on this thing. Okay, I don't have to go very far to get 28 miles an hour. I can just turn around right here. Okay, here we go. 15, 20, 22, 25, 28, 30, and brake. Look at that. See what I mean? These are great brakes, but this brings up a different conversation, right? With great power comes great responsibility, right? If you guys ride a big, heavy bike like this at breakneck speeds of 40 miles an hour, you're gonna wanna be careful and look very far ahead of you, right? No matter how good the brakes are on anything, it's just about traction on the road. The rear wheel was skidding the whole way there, right? And I was pushing as hard as I could on the front to just dig into the pavement. At 28, 30 miles an hour, I came to a stop within 18 feet. So really good brakes, but if you're going faster than that, be careful. It's gonna take you a little bit longer to stop with a big bike like this. As far as everything's concerned here regarding braking, Wired Freedom definitely gets a check mark from me. Time to go off-road and see if we can get onto the beach. Now the Wired Freedom's got a full suspension frame, which is gonna be perfect for keeping traction on the ground. Same with these Kenda Crusades. They're super aggressive, so they're gonna dig into the mud. Hopefully they're gonna give me tons of traction. What isn't gonna give me traction is the amount of acceleration this bike has. So let's do one thing. Let's go inside the menu, and I'm gonna go into the advanced settings here. And what we'll do is start strength. This is what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna lower the start strength. This is basically how much acceleration you get from the motor right away. So if I lower it down to 1, set that, and go return, this should give me a nice smooth acceleration, so no spinning out in the back. Kind of what I'm looking for out here when it's so greasy and muddy. You guys ready? Let's go off-road. It still accelerates quite fast. But man, the suspension is just so smooth and so soft. It just sticks to the ground. Just perfect. Oh, greasy, greasy, greasy. Woo! Ah! Okay, I'm gonna take the middle path today. Yes. Oh, it looks like they cleared up a bunch of stuff here. Yeah. Whoa. Oh man. Okay, looks like we're losing our beach. There's not a ton of sand left, but just enough to see what it's like. You guys ready? Throttle only, pedal assist number 5. Let's get onto the sand. Oh man, this thing just accelerates on the sand. Look at this. Crazy. Woo. Okay. Let's do a little roundup and see if we can get a thumbnail. Whoa. Oh my God. This thing has so much power. 150 some odd Newton meters of torque. This thing's crazy. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Oh my God. I think I shot some sand into the next city. All right, that was fun. Look at these divots. Oh man. This thing is a ton of fun to ride. I don't know if this comes across in the video, but man, you guys were all right. Just get a wired freedom. Okay, let's get off the beach. So much power. Just insane. Woo. Okay, let's open it up here. Yeah. Whoa. Man, this makes one hell of an off-road bike. If you guys want to go exploring back roads, mountains, fire roads, the suspension is so good on here and the bike has so much power. And now that they've added that second battery, you now have the range too. Come on. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! So let's take a few minutes to talk about ride and bike quality. You guys were right. In the $2,000 to $3,000 mark, this is pretty hard to beat. Starting with the ergonomics, I really like the grips. I'm not a huge fan of ergonomic grips, but these feel really, really good. And they're lock-on on both sides, so they're never gonna spin on you. They're comfortable. For the type of bike this is, and for what you buy it for cruising around, these are really, really nice. Gloves or bare hands, these feel really good. The seat, I mean, I've been on this bike for a solid 2 hours now, and the seat feels great. It's easy to pedal, it's cushy, there's nothing rubbing against your thighs when you're pedaling. I absolutely love this seat. I wish more bikes had a seat like this. And finally, the pedals, well, they're metal Welgo pedals. I've seen those pedals on a ton of bikes for a good reason, right? They're cheap and they're durable, right? They're never gonna wear out like plastic pedals. They give your feet a decent amount of grip. I kind of wish they had metal pegs, right? Because for the off-road capabilities of this bike, when you want to go on muddy trails, when you want to go onto the sand or, you know, maybe beach, you're probably gonna have boots on, and you know, boots don't really jive with these pedals, but they're good enough. Honestly, 20 bucks on Amazon buys you some really decent pedals nowadays, so that's probably what I would do with this bike. As far as sitting position on this bike, to be perfectly honest with you guys, I thought I was gonna hate it. This is a big bike and the handlebars went up to my chest when I'm standing next to the bike. It's a really big bike. But now that I've been on it for a few hours, I actually really like the sitting position here. The handlebars are high, and I think this is one of the things that I'm gonna change in the next video I make with the Wired Freedom. I'm gonna find some nice mountain bike handlebars and put them on here, lower the stem just a little bit. I love to be in this position, but this is a little bit extreme. I totally understand why they did it though. It's so that they can just make one size for the bike and have it fit a bunch of different body sizes. So with being able to adjust the seat up and down, and with these bars being sky high, even if you're 6'5", you're gonna have a good time on this bike, trust me. And if you're a smaller rider, not a big deal. With the seat all the way down, I can easily touch the ground, almost flat-footed. So you could be 5'5" and still be able to touch the ground, no problems. All you gotta do is just change the handlebars like I'm gonna do in the next video. And now for the bike quality. I have zero to say about bike quality. This is a really, really good bike. For $19.99, I don't know if these ever go on sale. I don't think I've ever seen it on sale. But for $19.99, this is a lot of bike for that money. I mean, what's in the price point? The Ride 1 Up Rev 1, right? Moped-style e-bike goes about the same speed. No, it goes way slower. I think I've only been able to take the Ride 1 Up Rev 1 to about 35 miles an hour. This got up to 39, 40 today, right? It's a 60 volt bike, dual battery, full suspension with air suspension in the back. And it costs $2 grand. It's cheaper than the Ride 1 Up Rev 1. I mean, you can get a Motor Goat for 25 to 2,700 bucks, but you get half the battery and a bike that goes just as fast. You know, for $19.99, this is a lot of bike, and it's super comfortable. It's easy to set up for a lot of different people, and it comes in a ton of different colors. Wired, you guys got a winner here. This is a really good bike. So, $1 million question. Who's the Wired Freedom really for? In my personal opinion, it's for pretty much anybody who wants a fast bike. The amount of things that you can do to this bike to make it fit your body shape is endless. You can raise the seat up and down, you can change the handlebars. Right now they're sky high, but you can change that. You can adjust the air spring in the rear shock, so if you weigh more or weigh less, you can totally adjust it to suit your body weight. You're gonna get a comfortable suspension on this bike, guaranteed. The suspension feels great. There's no clunk, there's no spring back to the top position in the front fork. It's a super nice fork on this bike, and the air spring in the rear suspension just feels buttery smooth. I absolutely love this setup. The brakes are insane. Strong 4-piston hydraulic calipers biting onto 203 mil rotors. That's just pretty much as good as it gets. Then you've got the tires. These Kenda tires are way better than any of the Chow Yang or the Chinese stuff you're gonna find out there. They're fairly quiet on the road. Like, listen to this. Right, you don't hear that howl from them. They've got a nice solid center channel, so on the road nice and straight, they're gonna be quiet. It's not like you're gonna hear these coming from a mile away. And when you get out onto the trails and it gets muddy and loose and slippery, they dig into the ground. I absolutely love these fat tires. You get the fenders, you get the rack, and we haven't even touched on the electronics on this e-bike. Come on. Dual batteries, 35 total amp hours on this bike. You're gonna be able to take this thing forever. Like, look at this. I've been on this bike for 2 hours. I've done 27 miles so far, and I haven't even reached halfway on the batteries. Come on. 60 volt system, a ton of speed. I was able to take this bike up to 40 miles an hour today. What else do you want? You know who I feel bad for? I almost feel bad for the guys at Wired when they have to make a better bike than this for the same price. But you know what? They've done it before. This is version 2 of their frame, and they've even added the batteries. So what do you guys think could be improved on this? To be honest, not much else can be improved on it. Maybe an air fork in the front. I don't know. The screen's great. The electronics are great, the motor, the power's great. I don't think there's much else that can make this thing any better. So I want to thank the guys at Wired for sending out the Freedom. I had a blast riding this thing today. It is such a fun bike. If you have a $2,000 budget and just want a bike that's fun to ride, get this, man. You're not going to regret it, I promise you. And if the Wired Freedom's not the right bike for you, that's okay. Maybe the bike in this video will be more of what you're looking for. I'll see you guys over there. Oh man, this never gets old. Woo!